When people ask me how I lost and regained my company in the span of 1 week, I usually laugh and tell them it's all about reading the fine print. But the real story, it's about family betrayal, hidden patents, and the sweetest corporate revenge served ice cold. I'm Alex Chen, and 3 years ago, I founded QuantumCode Solutions from my garage. What started as a one-person coding project soon became the most promising quantum encryption startup in Silicon Valley. But I learned the hard way that success makes you a target, especially when your own family sees dollar signs instead of blood ties. The algorithm isn't even working properly, my cousin Michael sneered, pacing around my office on that fateful Thursday morning. Face it, Alex, you're out of your depth here. I kept my eyes fixed on my monitor, watching lines of quantum encryption code scroll past. Code that Michael, with his MBA from Stanford, couldn't begin to understand. Code that had already caught the attention of major tech companies. Code that my Uncle Robert, once my mentor and now my tormentor, was desperate to control. We have investors lined up, Michael continued, his Italian leather shoes clicking against the polished concrete floor. Real investors, not these small-time contracts you keep chasing. But they won't commit while you're holding the reins. I finally looked up. The company is doing fine. Our current contracts air. Pocket change. Michael slammed his hand on my desk, making my coffee mug rattle. You're sitting on potentially revolutionary technology and you're content serving small businesses. Uncle Robert and I can take this global. What Michael didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I had already taken steps to protect my work. The meeting at the patent office the previous day had gone exactly as planned, but I kept my face carefully neutral. The shareholders' meeting is tomorrow, Michael said, straightening his custom-tailored suit. Uncle Robert is calling for a vote on the acquisition offer. Think carefully about your position, cousin. After he left, I opened my secure email and reread the confirmation from the patent office. Everything was in place. Now I just had to survive tomorrow's ambush. The story of how I ended up in this position is a familiar one in the tech world. 3 years ago, I was a quantum computing researcher at MIT, working on theoretical encryption algorithms that everyone said were impossible to implement. My Uncle Robert, then my biggest supporter, offered seed money to help me start QuantumCode Solutions. I believe in you, kid, he'd said, writing that first check for $100,000. But I want 30% equity, family discount. I agreed, young and naive, not realizing he'd insert clauses in the shareholder agreement that would later come back to haunt me. Over the next 3 years, as my quantum encryption technology evolved from theory to groundbreaking reality, Uncle Robert kept pushing for more control. He brought in Michael, fresh from his MBA program, as business development manager. They started courting aggressive investors, promising them things behind my back, always pushing for faster growth, bigger risks, more control. You're a scientist, Alex, Uncle Robert would say during board meetings. Let us handle the business side. But I knew what handling the business side meant. They wanted to sell my technology to the highest bidder, cash out quick, regardless of how the technology would be used. I had bigger plans. My encryption system could protect privacy in ways that existing systems couldn't touch. In the wrong hands, it could also be weaponized against that very privacy. The night before the shareholders' meeting, I worked late in the office, making sure every detail was perfect. At 2 a.m., my mother called. Alex, honey, are you still at work? Hi, Mom. Yeah, just finishing some things up. She sighed. Your uncle called me today. He's worried about you, says you're being unreasonable about the company's future. Did he tell you about the forced acquisition he's planning? My voice was sharper than I intended. He says it's a great opportunity. $50,000 is a lot of money, honey. Maybe it's time to move on, start something new. I closed my eyes, feeling a headache building. Mom, the technology I've developed is worth millions, potentially billions. They're trying to steal it. Family doesn't steal from family, she said, but her voice wavered with uncertainty. Tell that to Uncle Robert. I softened my tone. Mom, trust me. I know what I'm doing. After hanging up, I made one final check of my encrypted files, then sent a series of scheduled emails set to deliver automatically over the next few days. The pieces were in place. The shareholders' meeting was set for Friday at 9 a.m. I arrived early, dressed in my best suit, not that it could compete with Michael's bespoke wardrobe. The company's small conference room filled quickly with the other shareholders. Uncle Robert, Michael, two angel investors Robert had brought in, and Susan Chang, my first employee and the only other technical person who really understood our technology. "Let's begin," Uncle Robert said, taking his position at the head of the table. "We're here to vote on the acquisition offer from Quantum Ventures." I sat quietly as he outlined the deal, $50,000 for my remaining shares, with him and Michael retaining their positions under the new ownership. The angel investors nodded along, dollar signs in their eyes. Only Susan looked troubled. "This is highway robbery," she whispered to me. "Your encryption algorithm alone is worth." "All in favor?" Uncle Robert's voice boomed out. Hands went up around the table. With Robert's 30%, Michael's 15%, and the angels' combined 20%, they had the votes to force the sale. "Alex," Uncle Robert's voice carried false concern, "you've been outvoted. Don't make this difficult. Take the money and move on. Your code isn't worth what you think it is." I stood up slowly, straightening my jacket. "Actually, Uncle Robert, I think you'll find the code is worth exactly what I think it is. Especially since I'm the only one who can legally use it." Michael laughed. "What are you talking about? The company owns all intellectual property you developed here. It's in your contract." "Funny thing about quantum encryption," I said, pulling an envelope from my briefcase. "It's all about timing and observation, kind of like patent applications." The color drained from Uncle Robert's face as I slid the patent confirmation across the table. "You see, the core technology, the breakthrough that makes our encryption unbreakable. I developed that before founding QuantumCode. The patent was approved yesterday, and it's in my name personally, not the company's. Everything I developed here was built on top of that original patent." "That's impossible," Michael sputtered. "The lawyers vetted everything." "Did they? Or did they just read the documents you gave them?" I smiled, gathering my things. "By the way, you should expect a call from Quantum Ventures on Monday. Turns out they're very interested in dealing with the actual patent holder." I walked to the door, then turned back. "Oh, and Uncle Robert, family discount is no longer available." As I left the conference room, I heard the beginning of what would become a legendary shouting match. But I didn't stay to watch. I had a meeting to prepare for, my real meeting with Quantum Ventures, where we discussed the actual value of my technology. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about proving your worth to those who underestimated you. And as I drove home that evening, I couldn't help but smile, knowing that Monday morning would bring a whole new definition of family business. Monday morning arrived with the kind of Silicon Valley fog that makes everything look like a scene from a tech noir film. I sat in my home office, watching the clock tick toward 9 a.m. when the real show would begin. My phone buzzed. Susan Chang. "Alex, you need to get down here. It's absolute chaos." I smiled, pouring my third cup of coffee. "What's happening?" "Quantum Ventures CEO just arrived with their entire legal team. Uncle Robert is having a meltdown in the conference room. He's threatening to sue everyone, including you, the patent office, and I think he even mentioned God at one point." "Is Michael there?" "Oh yeah," Susan laughed. "He's gone through about 5 different shades of pale since the QV team arrived. I think he finally tried reading your patent documentation and realized he doesn't understand a single line of it." I checked my watch. 8:47 a.m. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Don't let them start without me." "They couldn't if they wanted to," Susan replied. QV's CEO made it clear they're only talking to the patent holder. I took my time driving to the office, enjoying the way the morning fog slowly lifted over Silicon Valley. It felt symbolic somehow. Clarity emerging from confusion, truth burning away deception. The QuantumCode Solutions office was buzzing when I arrived. Through the glass walls, I could see Uncle Robert gesturing frantically to his lawyers in one conference room, while the Quantum Ventures team occupied another. Michael was pacing the hallway, his perfect hair disheveled, his Italian suit wrinkled. "Thank God you're here," he rushed over. "This is all a misunderstanding. We can fix this as a family." I walked past him without a word, heading straight for the larger conference room where Jessica Wu, CEO of Quantum Ventures, was waiting with her team. "Mr. Chen," she stood to greet me, "I must say, this is not how we expected our acquisition plans to proceed." "I apologize for any confusion," I replied, taking a seat. "Though I believe my patent documentation cleared up the major points." She smiled, sliding a document across the table. It certainly did. We've revised our offer accordingly. I looked at the number and managed not to react. It was followed by significantly more zeros than Uncle Robert's insulting $50,000 buyout. This is contingent on you joining QV as Chief Technology Officer, of course, Jessica continued. We want the inventor, not just the invention. Through the glass, I could see Uncle Robert watching us, his face growing redder by the minute. I turned back to Jessica. Before we continue, I should mention that my core team, including Susan Chang, comes with me. Already factored into the offer, Jessica nodded. We've reviewed their work. Very impressive. What about my uncle and cousin? Jessica's smile turned razor sharp. Mr. Chen, we're interested in revolutionary quantum encryption technology, not family drama. Your relatives' roles are not part of our considerations. Perfect. The next few hours were a blur of lawyers, documents, and negotiations. By late afternoon, I had signed a deal that would make me a very wealthy person while ensuring my technology would be developed responsibly. Uncle Robert made several attempts to interrupt, but QV's security team was very good at their jobs. It was past sunset when I finally left the office. In the parking lot, Uncle Robert was waiting by my car. You ungrateful little, he started. Careful, Uncle Robert, I cut him off. The parking lot cameras have excellent audio. He deflated slightly but didn't move. Everything I did was for this company. I gave you your start. No, I corrected him. You invested in my company because you saw an opportunity. Then you tried to steal it because you got greedy. There's a difference. We're family. Funny how that only matters when you need something from me. I checked my phone. By the way, the angel investors your lawyers just called. They're filing a lawsuit against you for misrepresenting the company's intellectual property holdings during their initial investment. Apparently, they don't appreciate being used in corporate theft attempts. His face went from red to white. You can't prove. Actually, Michael's very detailed PowerPoint presentations about your plans to force me out, which he stored on the company's server, prove quite a lot. I unlocked my car. You should have learned more about how computer systems work before trying to steal a tech company. Alex, please, his voice cracked. I'll lose everything. I paused before getting in my car. No, Uncle Robert. You tried to take everything from me. There's a difference, but since we're family, I smiled. I'll make you a deal. Resign from the board, sign over your shares to me at their current value, and I'll testify that you were manipulated by Michael. Your reputation might survive. He stared at me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Good choice. I have the paperwork on my desk by morning. I got in my car. Oh, and Uncle Robert, don't ever call me kid again. The next few weeks were intense. Transitioning QuantumCode's technology and team to Quantum Ventures, dealing with lawyers, handling the press. Michael tried to claim he had co-invented the core technology, but quickly backed down when faced with the prospect of explaining quantum mechanics to a judge. He resigned, and last I heard, he's trying to start a cryptocurrency company. Good luck to his investors. Mom called regularly, torn between pride in my success and sadness over the family rift. Did it have to end this way? She asked one evening. They made their choices, Mom. They chose greed over family. And what did you choose? I thought about it. I chose truth. Everything I did was about exposing the truth, about my work, about their plans, about who they really are. 6 months later, QuantumCode's technology, now backed by Quantum Ventures resources, was revolutionizing data security across multiple industries. Susan led our expanded development team, and we were working on applications we'd only dreamed of before. I ran into Uncle Robert at a family wedding. He'd aged years and months, but when our eyes met, he gave me a small nod. Not forgiveness. We were past that, but acknowledgement. He finally learned what I'd known all along. In tech, as in life, there are no shortcuts. Success comes from building something real, something true. The irony wasn't lost on me. My quantum encryption technology was built on the principle of uncertainty, the idea that observing a system changes it. By trying to seize control of my company, my uncle and cousin had triggered their own downfall. They'd observed the system too aggressively, not realizing they were changing its fundamental state. Last week, a young intern asked me what's the most important lesson I've learned in business. Read the fine print. I told her, and always patent your work before sharing it with family. She laughed, thinking it was a joke. But in my office, I keep a framed copy of that original patent application. It reminds me that sometimes the best protection isn't in the code we write, but in the preparations we make when no one's watching. The quantum encryption algorithm that started everything, it's now being taught in graduate computer science programs. Sometimes I guest lecture, telling students about the technology, but never about the family drama behind it. That story, like some quantum states, is better left unobserved. My mom still hopes for a family reconciliation someday. Maybe she's right. Quantum mechanics also teaches us about entanglement, how particles once connected always affect each other, no matter how far apart they drift. But for now, I'm content knowing that I protected what I built, not just for myself, but for everyone who believed in the work we were doing. In the end, it wasn't about revenge or even justice. It was about value, not just the monetary value they tried to steal, but the value of creation, of innovation, of truth. They saw my work as a quick path to profit. I saw it as a way to change the world. Turns out we were both right. The technology is changing the world. And yes, it made me wealthy beyond what Uncle Robert and Michael had ever imagined. But more importantly, it proved that sometimes the quietest person in the room, the one they underestimate, the one they try to push aside, is the one holding all the cards. Or in my case, all the patents. These days, when I drive past our old office building, I sometimes think about that shareholders meeting, about Michael's smirk and Uncle Robert's condescending tone. The building looks different now. Quantum Ventures renovated it completely, erasing all traces of the family drama that played out inside its walls. But if you look carefully at the quantum encryption protocols protecting the building's networks, you can still find my original code. It's evolved, improved, grown more sophisticated. But at its core, it still contains that first breakthrough algorithm, the one I patented in my name alone, the one they thought was worthless. Every time our system prevents a data breach or protects sensitive information, I'm reminded that success isn't just about what you build, it's about how you protect it. In quantum mechanics, observation changes reality. In business, I learned observation can reveal it. As for the future, well, quantum mechanics also teaches us about infinite possibilities. Maybe that's the biggest lesson in all of this. There's always another way forward, another path to success, another quantum state to explore. Just make sure you patent it first.